Hello, good people.
Hi.
It's the eighth day. Day eight. Eight, figure eight. Eight is a cool number for you know why. So
If
to
it's turned around, it's infinity.
infinity, yes. Oh, you should know where I can see that. So today, like we said, the last 1 week was all about setting the mindset, the right mindset for the process of letting go. And today we start on a journey of practical things that you need for this process of letting go. And today our focus is on self-care. And as I promised yesterday, we have a guest here.
Hi, it's me, Laura Nangela. I'm here again.
Nice. So yeah, Laura has been on this journey on talking so much about self-care. I've learned so much from her, and I thought she must be on this session, like so that she can share. And I would like to know, Laura, like tell us, how did you start into this journey of self-care? And like you said, it wasn't in you from a long time, but you just started. What is it that made you start, and how has been the process?
So first of all, I wanted to thank you, Brenda, for creating this platform where people can talk about these things, about letting go, about self-actualization, and whatever you're doing right now is completely amazing, because I know we would have to pay a lot of money to talk to you about actualizing some of these things and putting them to perspective.
Pleasure.
So thank you, Brenda, and I know the viewers are also very excited and very happy
My
about
pleasure.
the work that you're doing. It's completely awesome. And so for me, self-care was a word that I kept seeing on social media, and it was trending and it's still trending. But and I think sometimes I'd post maybe a photo and then I'd put it like hashtag self-care. And one point I started asking myself, but am I practicing it? But what is it?
Yeah.
Because then we know the word, but do we know what it means? What is self-care? What is self-love? And for me, they go hand in hand, self-care and self-love. And I think that's for most people, that's what it is. And then I know some people will say, oh, but I do love myself.
Yeah.
Do you love yourself? and, and so when I started questioning, when I started asking myself this about self-care, and my journey started when I was expecting. So I have a beautiful daughter. She's 1 year. When I was expecting, and during that process is when self-care started becoming more real to me, because I started watching what I was eating, what I was drinking, exercising, and slowly by slowly, it started changing my entire chemical. Tell me the word. You're the scientist. So chemically, like my mind started becoming chemically balanced. The more I started doing it, because I was filled with so much worry throughout the process, because I was just like, oh, this thing can also be fatal. This thing is serious. I'm carrying an entire human being, like in my body, and I have to take care of this person, and I have to take care of myself, because someone, like I'm a host.
You're responsible to someone's life now.
So the point,
Sorry, it's interesting that you're talking about like how you took this seriously during pregnancy, and on day 6 you even discussed about it, and we're talking about how the state of the mother really influences how the child is going to be. So really setting that intention and doing all that was so wonderful and beautiful for you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it didn't come easy, because there's a lot of worry that comes with with the whole process. I was really, really worried. I don't know, some people might not be, but for me it was a special case, because dealing with anxiety and depression, that being in that situation, it basically made things even more crazier. But it was a ride or die type of situation. There was no way I was going to escape it. And I sat down and I told myself, I want to be a better version of me. because of this other person
That relied on you.
that relied on me. So little by little, my intention was to take care of myself,
Yes.
my body, my health. And without knowing, it was improving. And that's why I was talking about the chemical balance of my brain.
Yes.
So it started improving my brain. I started feeling better. I started thinking positively. You see,
Wow.
I started, and it was just something as small as just resting,
Yes.
because we need it. And Lao Tzu says, doing nothing is better than being busy doing nothing.
Yes.
So it was it was simple as that.
Interesting.
And
Nothing is better than being busy doing nothing, which we do a lot of.
yes. So so it was simple things, very simple things, that, like, taking a break.
Yes.
Taking a break from my work, which was very stressful
Yes.
at that moment in time. And I went to the hospital, and my pressure was completely low because of too much standing and being near heat. And cooking for me was a way that I would let off steam.
Nice. Wait, before we get there, so the connection between the whole process of self-care and letting go for you, where is this connection, and how did the process of the whole letting go and connecting with self-care come in for you?
So I was able to let go when I started taking care of myself, because I was busy doing nothing.
Did you ever have a mindset that, this is what I need to let go? I have this state of mind that this is where I am, this is where I want to be. I don't know. How did it start for you to get to that journey of the self-care and letting go?
So as I said, I was put in a situation where I felt like if I do not take care of myself, I'm going to die.
Oh, nice. So what you was trying to let go really was the anxiety, the negative thoughts.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
So in fact, the whole thing was, I started taking care of my body.
Yes.
I started taking care of my mind without knowing, because I was taking care of my body.
Yes.
And the moment I started taking care of my mind, all these negative thoughts, I had to let go of them, pole pole. And it enabled me to get to a point where I realized that some of these habits
Yes.
that I had nurtured over the years were not beneficial to my growth.
Yes. Well, you said something about your business, your cooking, and what it does to you. Can you tell us more about this?
Yeah, so for me, cooking is something that I'm completely passionate about. And when I was in that point in my life where now I'm being told that I need to stop doing it because it was not beneficial to my health. It was making me more stressed out. And it was also it was going to put my child's health at risk. And so I had to stop. So when I stopped, I realized at that moment when I had stopped, I got to a point where now I was just completely stressed. Because for me it was a let out.
Yes.
It was the place that I would immerse myself and get rid of the anxiety, get rid of all those negative thoughts, because my mind would just completely go
Off. Zone out.
I would zone out, and I'd be in the zone with the onions and everything. Like the sensation, like it was sensory play for me.
Oh, wow.
And so at that moment in time is when I realized that this thing that, some of these passions that we have are the things that help us. And for the longest time, until that point, I had not known that this thing was helping me.
Yes.
So, and it just goes back to, awareness. Sometimes we are not aware of the things that stress us, and we're not also aware of the things that rejuvenate us.
Yes.
So we have to find our passion and realize that this thing makes me happy. So that when we are at a point where, and that's why I talk about self-care, when we are at a point where we are completely stressed out, we can go back to that thing.
Yes, and be rejuvenated
and be rejuvenated. You're like, oh my, everything is just going to, you know what? I like painting. Take
This
a
is what I'll
paintbrush.
do.
Do it. You know what? I want to run. I like running. I like taking a walk. Go do it. Because sometimes when we're completely stressed kabisa, we feel like we can't do anything, we are useless, we are hopeless, we are and some of these tools, they are within our reach.
Yes.
There
And
were
yet,
things
so far yet so near.
there were things that we have been doing since we were children, and that's why one of my other points was you have to let one of my points was create time for play.
Yes.
Creating time for play is now doing these things that you have passion for, these things that make you happy. And when you're creating time for play, just go like childlike wonder. That's what I say. And that's why I like yoga. For me, it's yoga because it reminds me of when I was a kid, and like I would just roll myself into funny positions. I'd stand on, like the way we used to do somersaults.
Yes.
Hey, who hasn't done somersaults? Maze, we would meet up at your cousin's place. You go on your bed, on the bed, and start doing that stuff. And your parents would just say, "Be careful, you don't Nini fall off the bed, or you don't get hurt." But the thing is, the adulting makes you forget that you have to play.
Yes.
You have to play.
Playtime.
Find your game. You already know your game.
Wow.
Realize it. Realize what your game is. So just be aware of that thing that makes you happy.
Wow, oh, that's a very great pointers that we've learned from you. And like what I'm realizing is that there's need to understand that personal motivator, and taking care of your body will automatically start introducing like care in your, like caring about your thoughts, and that action is really, really very vital and important. Very thankful. Are there any other pointers or anything else that you would like to share that you can apply?
So the other one is observe your breath. That has worked for me a lot. And I say when you're spiraling out of control, and your mind has just gone completely off balance, stop,
Breathe.
and just breathe. Return to your breath. It's your life force. It's where you get your energy from. So 5 minutes, even if you can, every day, whether that day was a stressful one or not, take time, observe your breath. Am I panting? Am I, am I holding? Am I clenching?
Yes.
Like let go of those parts of your body that are completely stiff, and just inhale, exhale. It's free.
And the interesting thing is when you start observing your breath, magic happens, because what happens is you introduce the prefrontal cortex into action, and when you just start observing that, then things start happening, they start changing. When you realize there's tension, suddenly you introduce, and there was that thought of self-care, suddenly you find yourself starting to do what? To relax and ease out. So observing breath, that is like a very vital tool, and maybe this is what we should go out with. And observing breath, very important. 5 minutes of your day, observe your breath, as she says, and finding your play.
Then the other one is listen to your body. How am I feeling today? Am I stressed? Am I relaxed? What's happening to my body? Because we tend to ignore, because sometimes
listen so much of what the outside is saying more than what's really happening within.
We tend to ignore some of this. So it could be a headache, it could be a migraine, but it's just telling you that thing that you're constantly thinking about is stressing you out.
Yes.
Like you need to check in.
Cut it.
You have to check in. When you're listening to your body, you will be able to know some of these stressors and where they're stemming from. And sometimes when you listen to your body, it might tell you just need to relax and rest. And be lazy. I'm gonna use that word because we grew up in a society where we are told not to be lazy, without understanding that the importance of relaxation. And just doing nothing, and not at you're on your phone busy on social media, because that's also a stressor.
That's true.
It's just
stay
in bed.
The interesting thing is why that is so difficult for many of us is because we are not at peace with our thoughts. So the moment you just stop like this, then there's that old racing of thoughts, and you're like, no,
Yeah.
these thoughts, no, I need something to distract,
Yeah.
But that's how the mind is, and the more you are at peace with it and you are able to observe, then the more you actually are able to calm it from all that, from all that, like that all that lack of clarity. But when you keep being busy on finding distractions, social media distractions, things that you do, then the more you still have this lack of clarity in your mind.
And thoughts. Beautiful. It's very interesting you talked about the mind and like how it works. And a very wise man once said, the mind is like a jar
Yeah.
of water
Yes.
that has dirt.
Yes.
So we keep stirring it.
Yes.
We keep stirring it, and all we need to do is stop stirring,
Yes.
so that the
Let
mark
it
goes
go
down,
Oh,
and then the
Sam,
water will be
that's
clear.
Such a beautiful illustration. Makes it.
So yes, it was a wise man who told me so.
That's a very wise one.
He was a very wise one. So when we're talking about listening to your body and finding situations where you rest,
Yes.
and that's why we're saying about the stirring of the glass of
Dirty water.
of dirty water and wanting to let it rest, because you find much more clarity when you stop
Sorry.
stirring. Yeah. It sounds so simplistic, but I know it's difficult.
It is.
And that is why we are here telling you about all these tools that help.
Yes.
The tool like your passion that will make you shut it off.
Yes.
And when you're shutting it off, and that's why I'm saying you have to be very observant and very aware
Yeah.
of the situations where you feel like, my mind is completely off. You take time to breathe and just relax and find joy in that.
Yes.
And always going back there when you
When you need it.
need it.
So amazing. This has been such a long session today, but yes, I told you today's more about practical things.
Yes.
Wow.
And the other one is letting others in. I found a lot of clarity and a lot of peace when I started doing that. And letting others in for me was forgiving.
Yes. Wow.
Forgiving some of the people.
Forgiveness will come in another session, and nice that you mentioned it.
Yeah. Forgiving some of the people that I felt that hurt me, asking for forgiveness from the people that I have wronged, and also finding people that I can have meaningful